Just to set a sort of context for today, during the week we came across, some of you may have seen this on social media on Wednesday last, and it wasn't satire. It's the final paragraph of a business analysis piece about the death of Chavez from the news agency Associated Press, and was circulated to mainstream media. And it said, I quote, Chavez invested Venezuela's oil wealth into social programs, including state-run food markets, cash benefits for poor families, free health clinics and education programs. But these gains were meagre, says the article, compared with the spectacular construction projects that oil riches spurred in glittering Middle Eastern cities, including the world's tallest building in Dubai and plans for branches of the Louvre and the Guggenheim Museums in Abu Dhabi. So, end quote. So it just gives some sense of these. It's an extreme example of the disconnect between mainstream media and the lives of ordinary people, and it might sort of set the tone for today. So I'm just introducing the speakers, but I felt maybe as we're celebrating 30 years and we're not being complacent, we really do want to explore how we develop our community media project. So I thought I might just for the day pose some questions for you. Social justice and media. We will examine the evidence of mainstream media's attitudes to and the treatment of social justice issues. We'll explore in what way is media pluralism important to the coverage of social justice issues, and we'll imagine how media, old and new, can be more effective in supporting social justice actions. We start with more questions, I'm afraid, than answers, but hopefully we'll finish the day with answers to many of the questions posed. Social justice lays down certain principles. Firstly, it deals with human rights. It is based on a set of values, an awareness that we are human beings first, and privileged with responsibilities to each other and to future generations. And the question is, how can our media foster such an awareness? Because it is important. Inequality affects mental health, life expectancy, infant mortality, children's welfare, imprisonment rates, social mobility, and much more. As the spirit level research showed, a massive income gulf between those at the bottom and those at the top harms everyone, whether they are rich or poor. So how do we conduct a dialogue around this that is calm and effective? I hope you see where we're aiming to go today with the conference. Our media cooperative is 30 years in existence. Establishing community media is not like organising a coffee morning in some good cause. It actually is a media revolution. It may end up as a coffee morning. That depends on what the participants do with it and what sort of advice you can offer here today. We don't actually want a pat on the back for longevity. We ask that you take our record on social justice issues, which is impressive, and show us how to improve it. We ask that you take a broad view of the subject, for social justice also is more than charity. How much more we can explore during the day. One note of caution. Our public liability insurance doesn't cover blown minds, so on your own heads be it, okay? So some questions I hope we can either answer today or recognise as being in need of answering. How can we reimagine and redesign our media to be more useful tools for social justice? How can we use our media to create a deliberative public space where people can reflect critically, discourse collaboratively, and act collectively? How can we create informed communities in which journalism is abundant in many forms and accessible through all convenient platforms? Can significant wealth have any influence on public discourse? Media monopolization is not accidental or technologically inevitable, and it may, in fact, be an assault on the possibility of social justice discourse. How do we respond to these trends? How to obtain public acceptance of the notion that media pluralism is essential to and a guarantee of an efficient, pluralistic, democratic political system. How can we use media to revitalise citizens' connection to their government, and how to translate such communication into a deliberative public wisdom which can influence and shape public policy. How to develop new technologies that support and foster civic journalism and political action, that serve as a resource for the study and analysis of such civic journalism. How can alternative media serve as an organiser for change, becoming a strategic partner in such aware action? We have several workshops to explore some of these for you. Would media literacy training help with some of this growing awareness? How should we promote it? Who should we offer it to?
Also, citizen journalism or user-generated content can be a new form of media. How can we play an active role in the process of collecting, reporting, analysing and disseminating such news and information? Community radio is still in its infancy and community TV even newer. This workshop is a great opportunity to find out more about Near TV and get involved. Peter McVerry Trust is the fourth workshop. We became aware recently that Peter McVerry set up his trust and his activities 30 years ago also when we were establishing our cooperative. So we've always had great regard for the work of the trust, and we've invited Peter to tell his story in a workshop and outline his achievements. And more generally, we ask you to consider, in a message-rich environment, how can we meld old and new media to provide new tools and tactics for people with social justice aims? How might new technological lower barriers to entry for social activism? How to harness the convergence and connections that make up the net movement? How best to respond to all of this activity? Or is such an approach a form of clicktivism, making us isolated lackeys to the technology as we fail collectively, physically, to tackle structural injustice? We also hope to explore the possible today. So how to explore new communication services and new media that are in an intermediate phase of their development, where their features, uses and opportunities are not yet fully evident. How to respond to sweeping media flux where all media are really media to be. What will emerge where media or media-like activists could be performed by non-media actors such as many of the groups here today as they awarely appropriate the various media for social justice ends. Community media 30 years on has begun to form, and already we can discern certain key features, certain lines of beneficial action. For example, contributing to the development of neighbourhoods, broadening democracy, defending human rights and the environment, and protecting cultural diversity. The question is this enough? Community media may be only at the larval stage of their development, so don't judge the model by what has so far been achieved. Community media have not yet actualized themselves in a specific form. Try to imagine with us today, this media space is a space for the incubation of philosophical larvae that are yet without determinate shape, but which are in a process of unfolding. They may not yet have matured enough to have developed their own fully shaped public definitions, or for their users and the public in general to know where to place them in the media landscape. Will community media form an important part of media to be? What effects will their use bring? Can we, each of us, influence the shape and function of future media to suit our aims? So the real situation posed today is we don't need to spend too much time considering what media are, but more to imagine what they might be. How can we, at the end of today, agree what is possible and what is not, and what is desirable and what is not? In other words, friends, do we create a multi-layered system of local and global communication to facilitate a diversity of useful community initiatives? I hope your day will be exciting and inspiring. So we're 30 years on, and just I'd like to introduce, if they're in the hall, just not to delay too long, some of our people, our project coordinators. We have Soledad Galiana, our near radio coordinator. Is Sally around? She's there. Okay, that's Sally. NEAR, by the way, started its life as an acronym for Northeast Access Radio, but it has sort of collapsed into the word NEAR, so just in case you're wondering where it came from. We have Elaine King is our Near TV coordinator, and Elaine is there. Elaine is over there, folks, okay? We've Jack Byrne, the Near IT coordinator. I think Gavin is down. No, he's over at the door. Okay. We've Kieran Murray, overall Near project coordinator. And he's down there lurking in the coats. Okay, watch your Wallace, folks. He's in the cloakroom. We have Dorothy Myers-Holtkamp, our outreach coordinator, and she's floor manager here for today. Dorothy's the one that will be bossing us all around for the rest of the day. We've Alan Bradish, our near timekeeper and project administrator. Alan is over here all alone. We have Paul Rockland, who is our production coordinator, and Paul is... Oh, he's at the door, even further out. Okay. We've Grania O'Neill from Coolock, who's busy working at the moment. Give us a wave, Grania. Grania's over there lurking behind. Grania's going to do a harvest wall. She's actually going to depict graphically all of the stuff that we're talking about here today. We also have a declaration of intent on media and social justice for you to fill in. Some people have already contributed online. There's forms at the back of the hall there if you want to fill out and make a contribution to the declaration. We have a Twitter wall for you outside at the reception, and we'll have Near Drama, Near project Co-op also has a near drama company, and they'll be performing a short piece of Sean O'Casey for you. We have other staff, and we've members and volunteers, and we've members of our committee of management scattered about the room today. You can meet them and have a chat with them as you go along. As I say, we have TV and near TV and radio on here today covering it, so we're making you all media stars for the day, but I hope in a humble community way. Okay. So